Hello and welcome to my 2024. A very mixed year with generally poor viz and not many fish, but occasional exceptional days out. So we begin in January with some scallops. 7 hours driving for 2 hours diving. A great but very cold day. Overall, just good to get out again. I think it was 7 or 8 degrees.
Yeah, it's going good. Excellent day so far, right? Fucking amazing. Yeah, good. Probably, I don't know. I have no idea. Probably down 10. Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit cold. Even after like 20 minutes or something. Not perfect, yeah. Cool.
We were so cold when we got out, we managed to scald ourselves with the warm water we hoped to warm us up. Big storms in February caused absolutely no visibility, and even after a few weeks of chill, it seems there still wasn't any visibility. There's a mission to even get to the bottom, which I guess is a bit of a different challenge. Water had at least warmed to 11 or 12 degrees, but I did get the feeling that Bonnie wasn't too impressed with the conditions. Zach and I had arranged for 3 days of diving in Cornwall. We planned it months beforehand and we kind of missed the right time. Swell was up to 2 meters in places, algae was in everywhere, viz was terrible, water was cold, there were no fish. Big problem with planning 3 days is I've only got 3 days. Next day, still no fish, still high swell, but at least we picked up a few spider crabs. Big ones, these were almost 2 kilos. And the third day was more of the same. No viz, no fish, and it was still pretty cold.
Enough and a half. Couple more dives here. Yeah, I think one or two more and then we've carried on.
But there's always scallops. We were hoping for a lot more, but it was April and you can't really complain about spider crabs and scallops anyway. Annoyingly, it seems a week later it had cleared up in Cornwall and it started to become fishy, so we just about missed it. Another April dive, this time in Brighton. Lots of quite skinny, scaldy bass around. Done a few dives, carefully trying to measure them up, and eventually took one, as well as a really nice sized place. Normally go for bigger ones, but it is April. I don't normally get much in April. Then it was out to Bognor, lots of exploration, not much around.
Is that what's the structure?
Unexpectedly, there was a Zach while I was doing an espeto. Then May, and out to the wind farm with Zach and Andrew. It still really wasn't very fishy. That said, I did manage to bump my head on a fish whilst surfacing. It must have been literally right behind me. I saw the briefest flash of silver, but unfortunately it wasn't on the GoPro. A crab is a nice consolation prize.
Get the fish back, would you? This is not that big, but it's legal. I need to unload still, so you gotta.
A table-sized bass helped round off my dinner.
Well in, my friend.
Ben Bognor again with Bonnie. Alki had started in Sussex, making the viz horrible. Another blank day, but still excellent to get out, and it's always nice to see the sunset when you're at sea. Ben Brighton. Jet skis humming overhead. I shot a place, missed some good chances at bream, and spent ages trying to find more place, annoyingly missing a fat one at very close range. Another dune dive, a quick one with Phil at Bognor. Our partners were exploring the local area, so we didn't do that much. Not much life around, apart from some massive wrasse which were left alone. Then back to Brighton with Zach. Zach had forgotten his weight belt, so I let him use mine for most of the session. It was fun trying to drift for place whilst constantly kicking down and juggle spider crabs. Pretty difficult. After getting the belt back, I tried to get fish, completely failed, so only went home with that spider crab. There weren't many spider crabs around in Sussex this year, no idea why. I went to Cornwall for a couple of days. A quick hour in the water yielded nothing. And the next day I went out with Josh via caboat. The fish was okay. I saw a few bass in the gully but missed them. No other fish seen that day by either of us. Obviously I blamed Josh, who took a bunch of bananas onto the boat. Then it was back to the wind farm with Zach. There were plenty of spooky shoaling, black green, but they're not spooky if you sneak up on them. All of the bass around were undersized, so it was a pure bream day, but I did find a top knot, which wasn't really sizable enough to eat, but still pretty interesting to see out there. Then the LIC Pairs. An absolute disaster. We got up at 3:30 AM after very little sleep. Our launch was with the tide so low we had to wrestle the boat through knee-deep mud. The exit from the harbour was super slow due to hidden shingle banks, but eventually got out to sea. It was meant to be half a metre swell, but it was 3 times that, and we were planning 50 miles and 8 stops, so it was already looking like pretty hard work. The first stop was a wind farm. It should have been easy medium-sized bass, mullet and bream, and then we would head to other marks for larger ones and other species. Pummeled by the swell, I reached the first turbine we planned. Pushed by the current, I headed around to the slack. Whilst breathing up, watched closely, and you could see a bass coming up towards the surface on the left, and then one of my bands went pop, speaking everything before the first drop. Adapting, I tucked it in my weight belt and continued trying to breathe up, which was really difficult. Even with the shelter, the waves still allowed for zero relaxation. Finally dropping down, I found a couple of mullet. Not being comfortable from my really poor breathe up and conscious of my now lower powered gun, I rushed the shot and completely missed. Then I got my Cornwall gun and promptly missed a bass by trying to switch to a larger one at the last second, being a bit greedy. There were bream around, but I was underpowered at the time. I guess our strategy at least would have worked if everything had worked. And then the engine died. The boat was a recent purchase by Zach, and the anchor line included was much shorter than expected and wouldn't hit the bottom. We failed to get the attention of the other boat out there, so eventually used my phone to contact some of Zach's friends. They arranged for the Windcat, a seriously impressive boat, to drop us some rope so we could anchor. We then waited for one of Zach's friends to drag us back, but as it turned out, to Shoreham, whereas we had left in Littlehampton. So I was left with the boat on a rapidly drying slip, while he got a lift and fetched the car and trailer and so could winch it on from the ground. After that we went straight home. It was a 20-hour day and I was exhausted. Then it was a morning dive with Bonnie. We were not able to dive the usual spot due to really heavy netting, so we explored some other locations which I had been meaning to check out. Only saw wrasse, conger, some fairly small red mullet, and crabs which weren't large enough to be tempting, so took nothing. And then we went to Brighton for the afternoon. A table-sized bass, missing a hip shot on a bream and a hip shot on a close-up bass, although a pretty cool video. A sailing trip to the Isle of Wight with Bonnie, Warren and our partners. Stopping for a quick spear and nearly no viz, I got in first and the others joined a bit later.
I hope the current's not going to get any stronger, eh? What time is it?
The changing current trapped us, and unfortunately no one had explained signalling to the people on the boat, so they thought we were saying hello. We did get the attention of a passing rib who kindly dropped us off. It would have been fine eventually, but it was a little bit embarrassing. Some bass were around, but were too hard work for all of us in the poor viz. Then it was a really nice day out in Bognor with Brandon. The viz was really bad. On the inner reef, kind of cool to see a large smoothhound, and eventually on the outer reef, I got a scaldy bass shooting at shadows. The nets had been out in full force, including almost circling the inner reef in a large U miles long, which can only be a deliberate attempt to wipe out the bass in the area. Mostly poorly marked nets and on ground less than 2 metre deep at low tide, meaning all illegal nets. there definitely weren't enough lovely sunny days this year, and it was just brilliant to be out. And then down to Cornwall, went to one of Matt's favourite spots, and there were only a few bass around, all too small. But as he moved around, he found shoals and shoals of larger and larger bream. I already had a freezer full, and these were pretty small, with only the biggest ones being in size, so mostly just enjoying the experience. Brandon saw a bonito right around by the headlands, but this day was a blank, but a good blank. And then I went up to Devon to a spot which was pretty bad. This was a bit murky, all the bass were a bit too small, there weren't enough of them. Still fun to get out. And then another dive in Cornwall, this time taking out a new spearo again. Unfortunately, I was being a bit cocky. I was going to somewhere I knew there'd be bass, and I took my 55. Hasn't normally been a problem, but this time I really could have done with my 82, or maybe even more. It was just miss after miss on good sized fish. Oh well, it's all part of the fun. I still find it crazy how much more fishy Cornwall is compared to Sussex. Amusingly, the other diver, an ex-Navy Special Forces guy, couldn't get back on the boat, so it made for an interesting trip back. And then, a couple of days later, probably one of my most favourite days from 2024, I met up with Matt Hunt, and Brandon had made a plan with Carl, and we headed out to a spot which was absolutely buzzing with fish. And this time, I had the correct gun. There was, however, a massive seal, just to make things interesting.
Don't forget my seal. Making a change to being rescued. Here we are. Yeah. What do you want? Ah, lovely pill cord.
Brandon's outboard broke down, so amusingly, we had to rescue them, and rather than taking them home, we towed them around all day so we could all spear together. The E-Propulsion done a magnificent job all day, even with this additional load. I think it was a brilliant day for everyone. Matt Hunt got his PB pollock, Brandon got his PB pollock. I probably did, but I don't normally get pollock. I ended up with 3 pollock, 2 bass and a mullet. Carl ended up with some nice fish also.
Lovely day out, Matt. Princess treatment.
Only regret was skimming this one, which turned at the last second. It was just an incredible day, and the amount of fish we had between us, insane.
Fuck me. She's like 40 kilos.
Then Bognor with Zach. High tide, so relatively deep dives for Bognor. Finally found some good structure. We had been missing good structure in Bognor. Somehow, just where we explored for years had been bad places. Picked up a nice bass, marked a lot of holes. Looking forward to exploring more. And of course you've got to have a miss or two to keep you humble. A rare occasion where a longer gun probably would have been worthwhile in Sussex. The viz was so lovely though. Really enjoyed it. Josva, who I had kitted up and taken out several times in 2022, invited me and Zach to Norway, where he met with his friend Elias. He put us up in a lovely cottage right on the southernmost tip of Norway, which isn't one of the famous locations for spearfishing, but was absolutely idyllic.
I mean, I thought you were going to take a selfie, Miss Courtney.
What are we here to do?
Admire Norwegian landscape.
Yeah.
Nail big cod.
Odd, eh?
Yeah. Pollock, possibly a pollock.
Yeah. We don't get those in the UK, right?
We do get pollock in the UK, and we also get cod, but not pollock like out here. When in Norway and all that. Gin clear water.
It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely stunning.
Ridiculous.
And the weather was beautiful for September. Lovely, sunny, comparatively warm. Can't complain at all. We didn't buy much food, planning to basically eat what we caught. So the very first morning we got up super early. The idea was to try and get some pollock for breakfast. Get them while we're chasing bait fish in the early hours. Now this location, Joshua didn't know it that well. He'd been a few times, so there's a lot of exploration during the whole trip. There's lots of smallish pollock in the shallower areas, down to maybe 7 meters. So I was thinking that maybe if you go deeper, you'd find bigger ones, but that wasn't the case. Interestingly, the pollock just happened to be wherever they thought they wanted to be. Annoyingly, that morning, we blanked. Not that we had to, but we were looking for bigger pollock, really. The visibility was just beautiful though, absolutely stunning. On a side note, if you ever see a video recommending crayfish instead of constrictor knot, ignore it. It will slip eventually, and it took me a little while to work out what the actual issue was.
What happened?
I'm done, Gordy, mate. I need to get out of the water. This needs to be off. Everything's going wrong, mate. The bath's leaking. That whole deck.
Come here then and you can watch me. If it comes out, you can smash it from the surface.
As we were just heading back to land, Zach thought he saw a cod zipping into a hole. Unfortunately, he was in no longer a good state to dive, so he sent me down instead. There were no cod, but I did see a lobster, unfortunately illegal to take in Norway. A few hours to recover, and he went out again, and this time we had a plan.
I'll do mine first.
First pollock, beautiful. The second one, got a bit cocky. You can see it there. Barely visible. I figured it'd be a long way away and a big one. Lining up carefully, I took the shot, only to find it was not. But still, fine for Norway. After blanking only a very small breakfast, we were hungry, and we were there to make sure we had food for the trip.
Get in among them. Let's get in among the rocks.
Getting in among the rocks worked extremely well for Zach. With an absolutely stunning cod. He had only brought a 60, which seems to be the perfect gun for shallow kelp stalking. I was mainly doing the spetos undercover, finding a little gap or gully with some kelp and worming my way in at the bottom of the dive. And on this occasion, I was actually really annoyed because someone above me was making a lot of noise. It turns out that during my wait, quite a large pollock had come basically behind me. And I was completely oblivious. Zach was surprisingly annoyed.
Alright.
Fucking huge one just cruised this way. And a little one went that way. I got a little.
Holy shit. Holy shit. Gordon! Gordon!
Mate, did you not see him? A fucking huge one just cruised this way.
We knew that from this session, at least we would not be going hungry.
Very nice and helpful. How about that? How many poles have you got?
Dunno, a few.
These are decent size. About a kilo maybe? Yeah?
You won't starve tonight at least.
Yeah, we'll eat.
That night, me and Joshua went for a night dive. Zach sat this one out because he was worried about orcas and wanted to see the Northern Lights. First time I tried night diving, which meant two things. Firstly, I was definitely going to shoot a fish, and secondly, I didn't anticipate that you can kind of lose track of your depth a little bit and probably missed a few equalisations which would come to bite me the next day. I took a pollock of a fish, I then spent a lot of time just searching, trying to find something a bit bigger, or maybe a cod, but mostly in vain. I did find a sleeping pollock which I could give a nudge to, and it's interesting to see them let you get that close or not realise you're that close. The videos really don't do justice to the experience of, and the beauty and the eeriness of night diving and seeing other people diving underwater and all of the jellyfish. It's just a really different experience. Joshua found a pollock as well, so we both had one to take back. The sleeping pollock. And a rare tadpole cod. The next day we went out by boat to try and find a new location. The viz had deteriorated badly. There had been big storms around the east of Norway, and it seems that some of the mess had come round this way.
Show me the card. Filthy.
What do you mean filthy?
Probably 2 metres, 3 metres, 2.5 metres. It's filthy.
Today we were only after standout fish. We had plenty of general food, so we could be very selective. Between a bit of congestion, straining my ears a little in the night dive, and generally bad sinuses anyway, I was not diving very well at all. Seeing nothing bigger than I had taken the other day, I took the blank. Joshua took a couple of nice pollock. The next morning I wanted to try and get a cod. I hadn't got one yet, so I went to the same place that Zach had gone to and got one 2 days before. trying to copy his technique and just drifting over shallow gullies and occasionally stopping and waiting and very surface level stuff. The viz has deteriorated much as it had yesterday, and after a few hours, not a sign of a single cod, I just went back in and packed to go back to the UK. Overall, it was an amazing trip, and special thanks to Josva for arranging for us to use his family cottage and Elias for doing all of the driving. It was brilliant, absolutely loved every moment.
Butter soon, Gordy? How's it looking?
Amazing.
Yes, sir. And now a tasting cook for Gordon. I'll film you when you taste it. Switch this around. You alright? How is it? Oh, come on. Excellent. And then we got the cooking cleaner. The maid.
Here I am, the graph, the maider.
The maid for the night.
The maid.
Yes, sir. There you go.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
I think we'll live.
And look at this bad boy.
Look at that.
What more do you need? Stuffing his face. And Zach a bit more humble in his.
Then Brighton with Bonnie and Brandon. Interesting day, fairly fishy, but quite a lot of small fish. Annoyingly, my torch had run out of battery without me noticing. So, my main plan of the day, which was to try and do a bit of hole hunting, didn't work. Tried a hip shot on the bream I wasn't expecting, missed it. Found a lobster, but also expected the pipe not to bend, and unfortunately, I was trying to put myself down and spooked it instead. Ended up helping Brandon with his conger, which is an absolutely lovely animal, and Bonnie got a bream as well. But for me, another blank. Brandon was super pleased with his conger though. And he had quite a few recipes he really wanted to try. And then a quick trip to Bognor with Zach, checking out some of the spots we've marked before. Unfortunately, this time, no fish to be seen anywhere. No idea why. And then the wind farm with Zach. The wind farm had been hit really hard by bluefin tuna in the week preceding this, and it was weird how it changed the behaviour of the bass to split them up into smaller groups and make them hide a lot more, almost mindlessly in structure. Zach quickly got two in the bag, but it took me a few more attempts to finally get a really nice sized one. as well as 5 lovely crabs ranging from decent to really beefy.
Lovely thanks, my friend.
Then I went to Bognor with Michael and Matthew. We did try the wind farm, but we had to turn around for some reason. The current was blasting a bit, so we had to keep doing drifts. I did see a tail of a bass in a hole, but spooked it at the last second, with just a scallop saving me from the blank. And then a Brighton trip with Bonnie. And in this trip, my sinus really started playing up. After doing 8 or 9 dives on the trip out to the main pier, I went down about 2 meters and suddenly got hit by sudden, really, really hard pain in my sinus. Obviously, I returned immediately, tried to do a bit of diagnostics, but seemed I couldn't dive. And that was not good because it's very hard normally to hunt from the surface in Brighton. The fish don't come up very high. However, it turned out this was my lucky day, and there's an absolutely massive school of mullet chilling under the pier. Mindful of my limitations, I probably overthought and missed the first one I went for. But luckily they stuck around and I managed to get another one. And then slowly realising how relaxed and chilled they were, I was able to take my time and select a couple of nice specimens, and ending up with 5, of which 3 were very large and 1 was over 5 pounds. And for some reason, this year, Brighton has had very few mullet and very few plaice compared to usual, so it was nice to get a few of them to put in the freezer and a few to have in tacos and re-add it to my general diet. And then I went for a night dive in Sussex with Sack. And we had always thought that at night time apparently the lobsters and the crabs come out and you just swim around and they're quite easy to find, but it was not the case at all. There were velvet swimmers nipping their claws in the air if you came too close, but ground crabs and lobsters didn't see a single decent one. After a while we went looking for a place and I found one. Unfortunately, in the dust up it somehow escaped. But I did find a knife, which is always a bonus. Still good fun, very interesting to do some night diving in Sussex, so I enjoyed it nonetheless. Then Brighton again, this time with Phil, and Phil wanted to get a few mullet, so we were hoping they'd be like we were before. Phil is still a relatively inexperienced Spearo, so I thought it would be good to get down there again. The mullet weren't static and chilled like they were before, but we were able to locate a shoal and take a few, which we had that evening as tacos with a few other people. Nice and clean tasting, no sewage leaks and quite nice conditions for a while. And then I was in beautiful Barbados and I'd arranged to go spearfishing with a local guy that does tours. I didn't want to bring my gun, it just pain with baggage, and I didn't know what areas would be good or what species to target, so I figured it was an easy way and it was quite cost effective. First time I went out, the other people with us said to Alex that they were good and they were quite good divers. They were not. They couldn't go very deep. They got seasick quickly, and I didn't really want to shoot okay species. I was after things which would be delicious or impressive, or something which I was really wanting to shoot. So first day, bit of a waste, but Alex, recognising that, he said that I should come along to this other day, so that's another session, and so I went on to the other one for free, and that was much better. We were going a lot deeper, going on some wrecks, absolutely beautiful. Saw some properly wild turtles and spotted eagle rays and giant birds coming down to get fish scraps. We did see some Syro mackerel, but apparently they went over my back while I was doing an espeto, and they weren't being cooperative in terms of getting in front of a gun. In the end, I took a few lionfish, which were delicious, as you can imagine, and it was just lovely to be in such warm, clear water and diving down relatively deep and enjoying the weather and seeing the local wildlife. And it's always good to get rid of some lionfish from the reef.
Yeah, I think they are when they get close.
Wow.
So that was it, 2024. Not as good as 2023, which wasn't as good as 2021. Let's hope 2025 can break the cycle. Big thanks to my frequent dive buddies Zach, Bonnie, Brandon, the Norway crew, Joshua and Elias, my occasional dive buddies Phil, Andrew, Michael, Matthew, Matt, Carl, Levi, Warren and Joss, the course provider in Barbados, Alex, and of course the clubs, British Spearfishing Association, South Sea and Sussex, and the London International Club. Here's to a Happy New Year and hopefully an excellent 2025.